All right, let's jump into session 6. This is a long and action-packed session. I'm excited. So let's begin. Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite creator. I communicate now. Questioner. We would like to continue the material from yesterday. We had to cease before inaudible. So it looks like the tape didn't pick up that last part. Ra. I am Ra. This is well with us. We proceed now with the third area of teaching concerning the development of the energy powers of healing. The third area is the spiritual complex, which embodies the fields of force and consciousness, which are the least distorted of your mind, body, spirit complex. The exploration and balancing of the spirit complex is indeed the longest and most subtle part of your learning/teaching. Learning. We have considered the mind as a tree. All right. Before we move on, let's take a look at this tree that we went over last week, which we brought it up because we thought it would be a good primer for this week. We have the conscious mind and this veil that is cutting us off from our unconscious and all the other minds that we are a part of that we are just not as aware of. And that first part is the personal unconscious. If you go deeper into the roots of the tree of mind, you have the racial mind, which includes all the races of people that are from the same planetary system as you. So if you're wondering, wait a minute, same planetary system? Yes, we are all, not all of us are native Earth beings. Some come from other planets, which we're going to talk about later. So your race. Planetary mind is the mind of Gaia herself, or the Akashic mind, or the Akashic records. This is the record of all the minds in third density on the planets. Excuse me. And then there's the archetypal mind, which I find to be the most fascinating because the archetypal mind, if you go beyond a planet, what's beyond a planet? A star. That's what we're all revolving around. You can see that all of these minds are sort of going more and more connected to more in the universe. We're starting with, okay, or conscious mind, it's just ourselves. But really, the personal unconscious is tapped into all of this, the race that you belong to, the planet that you belong to, and the archetypal mind, which is the mind of the sun or the solar mind. That's the mind of the sub-logos. The logos in this example would be the galaxy. And then beyond that, you have the cosmic mind, which I would see as, now this isn't what Ross says, but I would see that as all of the black holes connected together, because you have the race, you have you, right? The race, which is a group of people, and then the planet, and then the sun, and then you have the galaxy, essentially. That's what I believe you're connected to there, which would be basically all of the minds of all the beings in all of that universe, which would be, in this case, be a galaxy. And I think our galaxy is the Milky Way. So you could see that as one cosmic mind, and then you could see M83, for example, as another cosmic mind. M83 is another, I think it's the closest, no, Andromeda is the closest galaxy to us. So that's another example. M83 is one of the biggest. It's one of my favorites. Just very beautiful looking galaxy, millions of light years away. So that's another example of another cosmic mind. Now you would see what's beyond all of that. Well, the connection that brings us all together, which is spirit. The spirit complex would be, you could see that as what are all the galaxies in the world spinning around? Well, I mean, let's back up for a second. You have the personal unconscious, which is us, and then we're also connected in mind to other beings. And then on top of that, we're also connected to the planet that we belong to and all the beings on that planet. Beyond that, we're connected to all of the beings in our solar system. Beyond that, all the beings in our galaxy. And beyond that, well, all that there is. That's the tree of mind. Now that you have that framework and understanding, let's go ahead and read this one more time. The third, I am Ra. The third area is the spiritual complex, which embodies the fields of force and consciousness, which are the least distorted of your mind, body, spirit complex. Now he says least distorted, which means look at this. This one's more, your spirit is much more connected to everything else. Look at our conscious mind. It's so limiting. Look at this. All it is just one thing. But the unconscious is connected to everything else, including the spirit. And the spirit is what Ra is saying is that's the least distorted. So the spirit is closer to the creator. But then we get cut off. Why did we get cut off from all of this? I'm going to leave that as an open loop question for you to find out. Let's continue. The exploration and balancing of the spirit complex is indeed the longest and most subtle part of your learning. Longest and most subtle, which means it takes a lot of contemplation from what I'm getting here. We have considered the mind as a tree.
Can I add a note real quick? There is a book called The Hidden Life of Trees. I forget the author's name at the moment, but that book talks about something that has hit me so easily and explains the mind tree very easily to me and hopefully to others. When we see a tree in a forest, we think of it as a specific tree, one tree that is separate from the forest. But when you look at the tree's roots, especially in a forest, they are reaching out to each other. All the trees around the world are touching through this root network. Not just the trees, every plant, every mushroom, it's connecting kind of like a nervous system for the earth. And what I love about this mind as a tree concept is that when you actually get to know what a tree is like, then you understand that a tree is not just a tree. The tree is the forest. The tree is all the forest. The tree is the nervous system of the planet. So this is kind of like showing that even a tree has different versions, that we see it as the conscious mind, but when we look deeper into its roots, we can find so much more.
Yeah, it reminds me of weeding. A lot of people have problems killing animals. I have problems killing plants because I feel like they're alive. And as I weed, I always because we garden, I find that sometimes you have to get in the roots, and they're so deep. Now, could you imagine the roots of a tree? It's so much deeper than we can ever fathom. They're so intertwined and connected to so much more. And that is a great analogy for what's really behind our mind and past the unconscious. Let's continue. The mind controls the body, which is a powerful statement there. Like we said last time, the mind controls the body. Let me stop there for a second. Continued. With the mind single-pointed, balanced, and aware, the body comfortable in whatever biases and distortions make it appropriately balanced for that instrument, the instrument is then ready to proceed with the great work. Single-minded, single-pointed, which means focused, balanced, and aware. Balanced in mind, body, and spirit, and aware, the body comfortable, and whatever biases and distortions make it appropriately balanced for that instrument. So biases and distortions, you might see this as I don't know, when I saw biases, okay, I know that I'm a male, I'm heterosexual. I love a certain type of food. I have certain values and certain beliefs. It's like an acceptance of that. And the distortions are the same thing, my perceptions and all the nuances that make me who I am. Once we've accepted, comfortable, and accepted, we can be balanced. Then the instrument is ready to proceed with the great work of healing. That is the work of wind and fire, which Jaslyn said the great work is spiritual work. And the work of wind and fire Wind can represent the breath of life, inspiration, and movement of spiritual energy. Fire symbolizes the creative force, transformation, and the burning drive of will and spirit. So I have a great illustration here with that. I saw this is the individual will, right? Pulling upwards, and then we have the work of wind and fire coming downwards. The spiritual energy body, which is like the etheric body, or maybe we can speculate that's what they mean, or the astral body, or the devaconic body. I'm not really sure which one. The spiritual body energy field is a pathway or channel. When body and mind are receptive and open, then the spirit can become a functioning shuttle or communicator from the entity's individual energy of will upwards and from the streamings of the creative fire and wind downwards. Again, to this drawing here, showing our individual will and the work of wind and fire, creative wind and fire. I would say that's spirit. The healing ability, like all other, what this instrument would call paranormal abilities, is affected by the opening of a pathway or shuttle into intelligent infinity. There are many upon your plane who have a random hole or gateway in their spirit energy field, sometimes created by the ingestion of chemicals such as what this instrument would call LSD, who are able randomly and without control to tap into energy sources. They may or may not be entities who wish to serve. The purpose of carefully and consciously opening this channel is to serve in a more dependable way, in a more commonplace or usual way, as seen by the distortion complex of the healer. To others, there may appear to be miracles. To the one who has carefully opened the door to intelligent infinity, this is ordinary. This is commonplace. This is as it should be. The life experience becomes somewhat transformed and the great work goes on. Ooh, that's a good one. He's even talking about LSD, which for a 10-year period of my life was a great fascination for me. Simplified. The healing ability, like all other paranormal abilities, is affected by the opening of a pathway into the creator. There are many upon your plane who have a random hole in their spirit energy field, sometimes created by taking chemicals such as LSD, who are able randomly and without control to tap into energy sources. They may or may not be entities who wish to serve. The purpose of carefully and consciously opening this channel is to serve in a more dependable way, in a more commonplace or usual way, as seen by the distortion complex of the healer. To others, there may appear to be miracles. To the one who has carefully opened the door to the creator, this is ordinary. This is commonplace. This is as it should be. The life experience becomes somewhat transformed and the great work goes on. Okay, first, the healing ability, what they're saying, like all other paranormal abilities, so it's comparing the healing ability to paranormal, is affected by the opening of a pathway to the creator, which is what they call intelligent infinity. So healing.
So the minute that you open the pathway to connecting to oneness, then you heal, which is a sentence that has already been mentioned, I believe, in session 4, and they're repeating it in a different way right now.
There are many upon your plane who have a random hole in their spirit energy field, sometimes created by taking chemicals such as LSD, who can randomly and without control tap into energy sources. I've been able to do some incredible things with my mind on LSD. I've taken quite a good amount of LSD for a human. I don't recommend taking that much because I have gone deep. But I remember I was walking and I started to notice that I could use my mind to like manifest water, and I needed food at some point, and I thought I could just use my mind to find food, and I did. And when they said they may or may not be entities who wish to serve, I started thinking at a time that there was a feeling within me that this is power when I was on LSD. I could almost manifest that will, it started to feel almost negative for me. So I realized that I was feeling selfish and I didn't want that. So instead of trying to just serve myself, as I was walking, this is way earlier, I started thinking, how can I make people laugh? And like, how can I make friends so I can make them happy? Meet people so I can affect them. And well, I think that changed my polarity quite a bit. Just noticing how easily you can use your mind to create your reality. I think it's powerful. It's a lesson I was learning very early on. The
Mm.
perp
And I will also add that we've done different ceremonies and plant ceremonies with other types of what are they calling it? Chemicals such as LSD. So you could think about ayahuasca or MDMA or sassafras or mushrooms. All of these different psychedelic chemicals have the ability to tap into unity, to oneness, to the spirit complex of part of the tree of mind. And one of the things that Yusuf and I have learned the hard way and the good way is in the beginning to kind of like what we do on these calls right beforehand, where we bring in the law of one, we call in positive entities, we revoke any negative entities to enter the space. That is extremely important for they may or may not be entities who wish to serve you. If you have to use the power, you don't have to, but it would support you if you use the power within you, the manifestation power, to create a bubble around you while doing any psychedelic chemicals, and then being able to say what kind of energy you want around you
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah, I know what you got out of it was may or may not be entities who wish to serve because of our experiences. And I think that is important. But what it says here is may or may not be entities who wish to serve, meaning the people who tap into those energy sources.
True.
Yeah. So, but she's got a point because, all right, let's just flat out and say it. I like to be open and honest about everything in my life. So there's no holding back for me. When you hear me, you know the real me. You know where I stand with things. I will not shy away from sharing my truth. And psychedelics have been a huge part of my awakening as I've started to manifest my mind, which is what a psychedelic means. And we started experimenting, Jazza and I. I've always been into experimenting with psychedelics because I would consider myself a psychonaut. You can look up what that means later. And so when we got together, I invited her to start experimenting with her mind. And I proposed mushrooms, LSD, MDMA, sassafras, and then eventually, because obviously she figured out how amazing it is to touch unity, we started going deeper and deeper until we found DMT. And DMT is the same uh, substance, same chemical as what you release when you're sleeping and you have a dream. And so we did a psychedelic journey where I took a lot of, we were smoking it. I smoked way too much DMT. It was in the middle of these beautiful stars, but we didn't open the space or close the space and guard our aura. And there was some negative entity that came and visited me. And thankfully, Ra saved my life. And I saw a being, I think I called Sananda or something. I don't know what his name was, but it reminded me of Jesus. And so I chose in that moment when I was visited by these beings, and I tapped into intelligent infinity because I had saw the creator. It's this dream I've always been having. I became a star that expanded, exploded, and then shot through the black hole. And then usually I have this dream, but this time in this dream, nothing happened. There's a being on the other side that was like, yeah, God lied to you. And there's nothing on the other side. And I was like, no. And then I got tempted and I said, no, I choose service to others. I said it out loud and I could feel the energy shifts and I could see more positive entities. And of course, I'm tripping balls at this point. And so this sounds crazy to you, but in the spirit, which is where I was at the time, there's infinite possibilities. So be careful if you're going to tap into intelligent infinity and you're not conscious of what you're doing. You're opening a gateway to something that's cut off for a reason. To be connected to all that is, imagine this for a second. I know I'm going deep here, but imagine if you could read one other person's mind and know their experience, and you're connected and you know everything they think and they know everything you think. Just one person right now. Could you go about your day the same way? Probably not. Think about if you were connected to every human being on this planet and they're connected to their mind. You imagine to the rate to the planetary mind? How crazy would that be? What if you were connected to every single being in this solar system? Think about how you're connected to that mind, which means that you're the sun, basically, control making sure the planets are all moving. Think about what it takes to run a planet. That's a lot of pressure. And so that's what happened on DMT. I was connected to way too much too quickly, and it was overwhelming. So I share that to let you know that, yeah, you can tap into intelligent infinity, but be careful because you might not be ready, and there needs to be a level of purity of heart and will, because once you tap into that, it's like magic. And so you're connected to something bigger and greater than yourself. That's powerful. All right. I think we've gone too deep here. Let's come back, Yusuf. No more rants. The purpose of carefully and consciously opening this channel is to serve in a more dependable way. That's the whole point in connecting to the spirit, intelligent infinity, and the whole point of healing. To others, there may appear to be miracles. To the one who has carefully opened the door to the Creator, this is ordinary, commonplace, and as it should be. The life experience becomes somewhat transformed and the great work goes on. And I will tell you, my life has changed every time I tap into intelligent infinity. And that isn't just from psychedelics, by the way. Happens all the time from deep contemplation and seeing someone in suffering. That usually brings it to me. If I see if I see a homeless person, it just gets me. I don't know, I just can't, And then the next day, for a couple of days after, I could feel their pain. I could see their suffering, It's tough. They wake up and they don't have much. That always makes me feel connected to God. Doesn't require psychedelics. At this time, we feel these exercises suffice for your beginning. We will, at a future time, when you feel you have accomplished that which is set before you, begin to guide you into a more precise understanding of the functions and uses of this gateway in the experience of healing. So later, we'll tell you more about how to use this gateway in healing. 6.2.
Questioner. I've been asked if it's possible for Tom Flaherty to attend one of these communication sessions tomorrow. Are you familiar with the entity Tom Flaherty? Raw. I am Raw. This mind-body-spirit complex sound vibration of Tom Flaherty is acceptable. We caution you to carefully instruct this entity in the frame of mind and various appurtenances which it must understand before it is conducted into the circle. They're inviting someone to the circle. 6.3. I'm not quite sure what you meant by appurtenances. I'm Raw. I was referring to the symbolic objects which trigger this instrument's distortions towards love light. The placement and loving acceptance of them by all present is important in the nurturing of this instrument. Therefore, the appurtenances involved must be described and their presence explained in your own words of teach learning, for you have the proper attitude for the required results.
Let me just say really quickly, if you see this teach learning, what I've learned here is every time it says teach learning, if I just take out this word here, for instance, it's teaching. So again, they're always working in opposites. But every time I see teach learning, I just say to myself, that's teaching.
Mm-hmm. And from my understanding, they're just saying you can invite Tom to the circle. All we ask is for him to understand the purpose and the understanding of what's happening, as well as to come in from a place of love light, and for all to be present, to be nurturing to the instrument, which is Carla. 6.4. He'll understand me. We'll be very careful to totally inform Tom before he attends. Thank you very much. it seems to me that it might be an appropriate time to include a little more historical background of yourself, possibly information having to do with where you came from prior to involvement with planet Earth, if this is possible.
Let's go.
I am.
Oh, I'm so lucky. Go ahead.
Okay. I am Raw. I am, with the social memory complex of which I am a part, one of those who voyaged outward from another planet within your own solar system. Ooh, as this entity would call it. The planetary influence was that you call Venus. We are a race old in your measures. When we were at the sixth dimension, our physical beings were what you would call golden. We were tall and somewhat delicate. Our physical body complex covering, which you call the integument, had a golden luster.
Integument is another word for, it's a layer of the skin. So basically what you call the skin.
Yeah. In the audiobook, they do mention that it says when we were at the sixth dimension, our physical beings, Jim believes that what they meant to say is third density when they were in their physical beings as third densities, because they do explain their physical being in sixth density later, and it's a bit different. So that could be that there was a misunderstanding. In this form, we decided to come among your peoples. Your peoples at that time were much unlike us in physical appearance, as you might call it. We, thus, did not mix well with the population and were obviously other than they. Thus, our visit was relatively short, for we found ourselves in the hypocritical position of being acclaimed as other than your other selves. This was the time during which we built the structures in which you show interest.
Yeah, basically they're saying they came here, they were seen as different, and they don't want to be seen as different. But they came and thought, okay, we're gonna show up at how we were in Venus, thinking these people will just accept us like one of them as brothers and sisters, but that's not what happened. Did not mix well with the population and were obviously other. So as a sixth density social memory complex, what I always try to put myself in their mind, thinking, okay, they're a planet of unity and love. They're in sixth density. Um, they're connected to all that is. They're one with everything. They see no separation. So they come here and people are seeing them as different. Like, you're not like us. You're different. You're better than us. You're gods. And they're like, no, 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 that's not what we want. We're here to show you that we are all equals. We are all one. And this is the time at which we built the structures. So that those are the pyramids there.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine really quickly that someone comes down from another planet, says they're from Venus, and they're golden. I believe they're tall and delicate. And later, Juliana made a good point. At some point, we learned that they also didn't have thumbs. So a golden, tall being with 4 fingers on each side instead of 5. Wait, what is going on?
Yeah, there's all these depictions about Raw now with AI. There's these all cool drawings, but let's look at what this is closer to the depiction of what people saw with Raw. So I wonder why the hawk head. I've always questioned that, wondered why. But if you could imagine, we can only speculate what Raw looked like, but Raw to Raw, that doesn't matter. It really, and in the grand scheme of things, the only thing that matters is the law of one. But it is fascinating for me to just wonder, what did they really look like back then? I guess we'll find out later one day. Yeah, this is what they would look like if I guess, who knows? Yeah, there we go. This is a good one. Tall, skinny, hawk head, sun above the head, very brilliant. This snake here is at the kundalini energy. Maybe people saw this like sort of energy around it, like this serpent that was like coiling this energy. Who knows? Where were we?
6.5. I'll keep reading.
Sure.
They're short. How did you journey from Venus to this planet? Raw. We used thought.
Well,
6.6. Would it be possible to take one of the people at that time from our planet and place him on Venus? Would he survive? Were conditions much inaudible? Raw. The third density conditions are not hospitable to the life forms of your peoples. The fifth and sixth dimensions of that planetary sphere are quite conducive to growing/learning/teaching. 6.7.
so hold on.
Okay.
The third density condition. So basically, we wouldn't be able to survive there, but for fifth and sixth, it is more conducive to learning, growing, teaching, etc. To experience.
I think it's interesting that you use the word dimensions. We've been talking about the difference for a while.
Mhm.
There's an area in a concept guide, I believe, right? That talks about the difference between density and dimensions in Raw's perspective.
Yep.
So if you're interested in the difference, you can go there. Today's a big call, so we won't do it today. 6.7. How were you able to make the transition from Venus, and I assume the sixth dimension, which would that be invisible when you reached here? Did you have to change your dimensions to walk on the earth? Raw. You will remember the exercise of the wind. The disillusion into nothingness is the disillusion into unity. For there is no nothingness. From the sixth dimension, we are capable of manipulating, by thought, the intelligent infinity present in each particle of light or distorted light, so that we were able to clothe ourselves in a replica visible in the third density of our mind, body, spirit complexes in the sixth density. We were allowed this experiment by the council, which guards this planet.
One of my favorite, I know I say this a lot, okay, but there's a ton of lines that they get me so good in my feels. Like the dissolution into nothingness is a dissolution into unity because there is no nothingness. So that made me think really deeply because Jasmine and I have always wondered, like, what came first? Was it the black vacuum or the light that's within that vacuum? Right? We're like, what was first? Was it darkness or was it light? And well, we've gone back and forth, and this passage here shows us that they are exactly the same thing. That all that is nothing, no thing, because no thing does not exist. There is no nothingness, for there is no nothingness. The dissolution into nothingness is the dissolution into unity.
Makes me
One of
think
my
about a
favorite.
black hole too.
Mhm.
We don't know what's going on the other side, slash if there even is another side, if we're just like all become one. That's a theory that I love so much. We enter the black hole and we're just unity.
Yep. You will remember the exercise of the wind, how it moves without being seen. The ending into nothingness is the ending into unity, for there is no nothingness. From the sixth dimension, we are capable of manipulating by thought the eternal essence present in each particle of light or distorted light, so that we were able to clothe ourselves in an exact copy visible to the third density of ourselves in the sixth density. We were allowed this experiment by the Council of Nine on Saturn, which guards this planet. We're going to learn more about the council in a bit. Okay.
Well, right now.
Yeah.
Where is this council located? This council is located in the octave or eighth dimension of the planet Saturn, taking its place in an area which you understand in third dimensional terms as the rings.
Ooh, I did some research into the rings, so just bear with me for a second. Saturn's rings are divided into 7 parts, A through G, according to Nat Geo. So there's that number 7 again. The rings are wide, 170,000 miles across, which is 273,600,000 kilometers, but only 30 feet thick. And here's sort of a depiction of what they look like. There you go. There's actually a picture. Saturn is the least dense planet in our solar system, which I find really, really interesting. So it's like when you think in terms of when they say dense in this way, that it's more gaseous. So I would say it has more light within it. 6 Earths can fit in a row on Saturn's rings. That's how massive they are, just to give you an idea.
Boom. 6.9. Are there any people such as you find on Earth on any of the other planets in this solar system? Raw. Do you request space-time present information or space-time continuum information?
So when you see space-time continuum, you can think past, because for them it's all in the same. So for us, it's like, hey, are you talking about that time that happened? But for them, they see it all at the same time, which is incredible. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, you might see this come up again.
6.10. Both. We want both, please. Raw. At one time space, in what is your past, there was a population of third density beings upon a planet which dwelt within your solar system. There are various names by which this planet has been named. The vibratory sound complex most usually used by your peoples is Maldek. These entities, destroying their planetary sphere, just got chills, thus were forced to find room for themselves upon this third density, which is the only one in your solar system at their space-time present, which was hospitable and capable of offering the lessons necessary to decrease their mind-body-spirit distortions with respect to the law of one.
I can speculate if Maldek is Nibiru or Tiamat. If you've done any research into the Emerald tablets or the cuneiform found in ancient Sumeria, which is in the Middle East, you'll find a lot of pictures and drawings and artwork and stories about this planet called Nibiru and this planet called Tiamat. So we can speculate if this could be one of them. There's no definitive fact, but I started doing research into Maldek, and there's a lot of books and articles online that, although they're not Law of One or LNL research based, they validate this story that you're about to hear almost to the T. So there's a book you can read called The 9 Freedoms by Dr. George King, and a few articles if you'd like to go to exopedia.org or arthurius.org, which we won't go into, but I'll share them in the chat.
Would you like me to read these 4 paragraphs from a concept guide? Okay.
Yeah, so let's bring it up on the screen here. Concept guide.
It's page 186.
186.
So this is from a concept guide, which is also through research. Maldek. According to Ra, what we know as the asteroid belt is the physical remains of a former planet which was home to active first, second, and third densities. There are various names by which this planet has been identified, but in certain quarters of Earth's history, perhaps some of which have been lost, it had the name of Maldek. The third density population of Maldek had a civilization somewhat similar to that of Atlantis, in that it gained much technological information and used it without care for the preservation of the planet. Following the ways of warfare and service to self, which was sincerely believed to be service to others, the escalating devastation racked Maldek's biosphere and caused planetary disintegration. The people of Maldek were so traumatized by this occurrence that they were in what Ra called a social complex knot or tangle of fear, from which none escaped. As time passed, no one could reach or aid them. Eventually, members of the Confederation were able to reach them, untie the knot of fear, and help them to recall that they were conscious. Finally able to undergo healing and review, the group decided to place upon itself a type of karmic alleviation and restitution. For this purpose, over 2 billion souls came into incarnation in Earth's third density in non-human, second density, bipedal physical vehicles. These vehicles being one variety of several types of creatures collectively known as Bigfoot.
Oh, we gave it away.
We're
okay.
coming, we're getting there. Though it's not entirely clear, it seems that they retained a third density consciousness, utilizing the second density vehicle as a self-imposed limitation. The great majority of these entities have been able to work out the self-imposed limitations and rejoin the normal third density experience.
Hmm.
Yes, Elaine, it does sound a lot like Earth. Good catch.
Woo.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about Eisenhower later in this book. If you do any research into UFOs and sightings throughout the world, you'll come across the story of Eisenhower and how during his administration they were gonna shoot the nuclear bombs, so they were gonna blast off nuclear bombs as a test, and these UFOs came and melted the weapons, melted the missiles right in front, right in daylight. They caught it on the news. It was actually posted in a newspaper at the time. You can find it on the internet. But we've been very close to doing exactly what Maldek did.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get more into this, you're going to learn about how Maldek did this and other planets. Atlantis has also done this. Lemuria, same thing. We're playing the same game again and again. And I'm just grateful that we have made it into fourth density.
Woo! Yep, we did it. And again, this is just the beginning. I just wanted to give you a big summary so you have a big picture view, and then we're gonna go into more detail in the next
Yeah.
while.
All right. So can I read?
Yeah.
611. Questioner. How did they come here? Ra. They came through the process of harvest and were incarnated through the processes of incarnation from your higher spheres within this density. So process of harvest is, you think of a harvest like if you see a thing of corn being born out of the ground and like boop, it's ready, right? The soul will come into here and be harvested and ready to incarnate through the processes of incarnation from the higher spheres within this density. Questioner, how long ago did this happen in our years? Ra, I am having difficulty communicating with this instrument. We must deepen her state. This occurred approximately 500,000 500,000 of your years ago. 500,000 years ago is 500,000 years ago. That's a long time. Questioner, thanks. Is all of the Earth's population then, human population of the Earth, are all of them originally from Maldek? I am Ra. This is a new line of questioning and deserves a place of its own. The ones who were harvested to your sphere from the sphere known before its dissolution as other names, but to your peoples as Maldek, incarnated many within your Earth's surface rather than upon it. Within your Earth's surface rather than upon it. That's mind-blowing. The population of your planet, so yes, underground. The population of your planet contains many various groups harvested from other second dimension and cycled third dimension spheres. You are not all one race or background of beginning. The experience you share is unique to this space-time continuum. Time-space continuum. My apologies. So remember we talked about before how in the tree of mind here, the racial mind, and how the racial mind would be the mind of everyone from the planet that you are from. So if we're not all from the same planet, that means a lot of us might feel disconnected from other people. Huh. Yeah, interesting. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Hmm? And again, they say we're here. The experience you share is unique to this time-space continuum. And when I see time-space continuum, I see the word space continuum. So I think they mean our location. Like in this system, it's pretty unique, the situation we have and our place in the cosmos. Thus, the inability for us to harmonize into one focus of seeking. That's why it's so difficult for us to align and become all single pointed into service to others, love, unity. I'm going to continue.
Go ahead.
Questioner. I think it would be appropriate to discover how the law of one acts in this transfer of beings to our planet and the action of harvest. I am Ra. The law of one states simply that all things are one. The end. That's the end of our call here. See you, everyone. Bye. I'm just kidding. I am Ra. The law of one states simply that all things are one, that all beings are one. There are certain behaviors and thought forms consonant with the understanding and practice of this law. Those who, finishing a cycle of experience, demonstrate various grades of distortion of that understanding of thought and action will be separated by their own choice into the vibratory distortion most comfortable to their mind, body, spirit complexes. I am Ra. The law of one states that all things are one, that all beings are one. There are certain behaviors and thought forms harmonious with the understanding and practice of the law of one. Those who finish a cycle of experience, an incarnation, or I'm sorry, not a cycle of cycle of experience is not just an incarnation. A cycle of experience would be, you can see all of our human lifetimes, for example. So like one density, an entire density. Demonstrate. So those who finish a density or a dimension or a cycle of experience demonstrate proficiency of altering that understanding will be separated by their own choice into the vibration most comfortable to them. So let's say that we finish third density and it's time for us to graduate. At that time, we're going to go to the vibration that we're most comfortable to. So if that's fourth density, then that's what we're going to move to. And if not, then we might need to continue third density or repeat the cycle, which I don't know about you, but I don't know if I want to repeat third density. I do love mountain biking and snorkeling, and babies are so cute. Maybe I'll repeat third density, but I'd rather move on to the next one. This process is guarded or watched by those nurturing beings who, being very close to the law of one in their distortions, nevertheless have the distortion towards active service. So the beings who are protecting this, I would see as like the Council of Light, the Council of Saturn, the Confederation. It says those beings, those nurturing beings who being very close to the law of one. So let's look at what nurturing means. I love this word. It's one of my favorite. Care for and encourage the growth of or development of. Those nurturing beings who are close to the law of one in their distortions, which means that they're higher density. So I'm guessing late sixth or seventh density. Nevertheless, have the distortion towards active service. So these are higher density beings who are maybe sixth or seventh density, who have a desire to serve others and are positive. They're the ones who guard our incarnation process, or what Ra calls the harvest. I'm sorry, the harvest would be when we're moving into another density. Thus, the illusion is created of light, or more properly, but less understandably, light love. Actually, before I go into this, I'm just going to read my simplified version here. Thus, the illusion is created of light, or more properly, love. That's what light love. If you see light love, love here, that would be the word they're referring to. This is in varying degrees of intensity. The spirit of each, this is in varying degrees of intensity. The spirit of each harvested entity moves along the line of light until the light grows too strong or bright, at which time the entity stops. This entity may have barely reached third density or may be very close to the ending of third density vibration. Nevertheless, those who fall within this octave of intensifying light love then experience a major cycle during which there are many opportunities for the discovery of the distortions which are within each being and the lessening of these distortions. The illusion, I love when they say illusion. The illusion is created of light, or more properly, love. Light love. This is in varying degrees of intensity. The spirit complex is of each harvested entity moves along the line of light until it grows too glaring. So I'm picturing this glowing aura or the spirit kind of traveling up for some reason into space after a cycle of experience, and they're ready to be harvested. So it keeps going up and up and up and up and gets closer and closer and closer in vibration from what I'm picturing, to the sun. I don't know why I picture that. It's like moving closer to the sun. And then the soul is trying to get closer and closer and closer. And then it realizes, whoa, that's really glaring, dude. That's too bright. I can't get, it's too strong. And it stops. And it's like, where am I? Oh, I'm in fourth density or fifth. Who knows? Once it grows too glaring, it'll stop. The entity may have barely just reached, or may have reached third density, or may be very close to the ending of third density, that vibration. Nevertheless, those who fall within this octave of intensifying light, love, then experience a major cycle during which opportunities are many for the discovery of the distortions which are inherent in each entity, and therefore the lessening of these distortions. So nevertheless, once you're in that octave, see, that's like what Ra would call another universe. Third density would be like an octave of third density. An octave of third density is we're moving through cycles of third density from the easiest of third density, the beginning, to all the way at the end. And it's the same thing with like fourth density. We'd do the same thing in fifth. We'd move more and more. We're not just staying in one part of it. We're always evolving and growing. And so once we get into fourth, they're saying this entity will then experience that octave or that universe and move through that within that octave in a major cycle. A major cycle, by the way, in third density, there are 3 major cycles. There's 1 master cycle. We'll talk about that, but they say during which there are many opportunities for the discovery of distortions. So you can think basically there's many opportunities to learn and grow and be, and to evolve and get closer to the creator. Okay. Yes, my take on this. There it is. I thought I deleted this. My take on this. Each harvested being moves along the line of light towards the creator, and when the light grows too strong, it then stops. Whichever density the being stops at is the density it will remain in, and experience a major cycle of which there will be distortions to learn about and lessen as they grow through that density. I hope that explains things.
So people are asking, what is the difference / similarity between light love and love light?
Okay. All right. Yes.
There's a whole section
Yes.
with
Okay.
guide on it.
Man, this is such a good question. Okay. So you could see love as the potential, light as the kinetic. So you can look at all energy as potential and kinetic. So let's break this down. What do I mean by that? Well, love is the potential, I would say the catalyst, and light is the manifestation of what love is. So light is the manifestation of love. So light in general is loving. So all that is loving. All that we can see and not see is loving and filled with love, because the eternal essence of love, the eternal essence of light, is love. Love is the beginning. Before anything existed, there was infinity. You said you didn't want me to go into this. There was infinity. Huh?
If you have page 182, if you want to just read 4 paragraphs.
Okay. No, I don't want to go. I don't want to go into that. Okay. Yes. If it's important to all of you, let's go through it. So what page is that? I'll bring it up for the screen.
182.
You want to share your screen?
No, you go ahead. 182, one concept guide.
Oh, ACG. Gotcha. 182. It's earlier.
Yeah.
All right. Can I do this?
Yeah.
Love, light, light, love. Thank you, Gary Bean, Austin Bridges, and hold on. I have to acknowledge her name. How did I forget your name? And Diana Roy. Sorry, Diana. All right, 182. Love, light, light, love. In the infinite universe, there is only one energy. Love, light, or light, love, or intelligent energy. The universe is made from and of light, love, or love, light, light, love. It is that energy which performs every function, powers all work, gives and takes life, Or as Ra says, heals, builds, removes, destroys, transforms, and forms the pathways or so-called natural laws of any particular universe. The universe is made of love, light, light, love. It is that energy which performs every function, powers all work, and gives and takes life, builds, heals, removes, destroys, transforms, and forms everything. And all the laws in our universe. Love light is the kinetic side of intelligent infinity. So the kinetic side, right? I said light is the kinetic side. So when you read this, you can see they're saying light is the kinetic side of intelligent infinity, the mystery of the one manifesting into creation. This energy first comes into being as free will taps the potential of intelligent infinity to create, produce, or generate love. The logos or creative principle or second primal distortion. Love then uses free will to create light, or the third primal distortion, thus becoming love light. All right. So this energy first comes into being as free will. Free will is the first distortion. So if you're looking like here's the second primal distortion, here's the third primal distortion. What is the first primal distortion? So remember, there was only infinity. That was the first thing. First thing was infinity. And this infinity wanted to know itself. So it, through free will, which is the first distortion, through free will, taps the potential of intelligent infinity to create, produce, or generate love, the second primal distortion. So if you think generate love or logos or creative principle or second primal distortion, those are all synonymous with the same thing, love. Love then uses free will to create light. Whoa. Love creates light. Love then creates light. See, love is the potential. Light is the kinetic to create light, or the third primal distortion, thus becoming love light. So love and light, like love and wisdom, are faces of the same coin. There is the same difference between love light and light love as there is between teach learning and learn teaching. Love light is the enabler, the power, the energy giver. Light love is the manifestation which occurs when light has been impressed with love. The upward spiraling light, also synonymous with prana, is love light in operation, perhaps one of its most fundamental operations. The upward spiraling line of light is that evolutionary imperative or will of the logos that is constantly illuminating, driving, unfolding, and organizing life upward, back toward the source of love light, the unity of the one creator. This primal life energy is also present and may be tapped into with the aids of energy collectors and focusers such as crystals and pyramids, and most powerfully by discipline and concentrated will and faith.
Boom.
I love the word faith. Thank you, Jazzy.
You're welcome. All right, back at it. You girls, let me know in the chat how that felt for you.
Hopefully that answers the question. So love, light, light, love is what the entire universe is made of. Again, light is the manifestation of love.
Beautiful. Thank you.
6.15.
6.15.
Go ahead.
What is the length in our years of one of these cycles currently? Yes, I get to read this one. Raw. One major cycle is approximately 25,000 of your years. There are 3 cycles of this nature during which those who have progressed may be harvested. At the end of 3 major cycles, that is approximately between 75 and 76,000 years of your years, all are harvested regardless of their progress. For during that time, the planet itself has moved through the useful part of that dimension and begins to cease being useful for the lower levels of vibration within that density. All right, chills, because this is what's happening right now on this planet. We have hit that 75 or 76,000 of our year mark, and the planet has officially shifted to fourth density. This is what's so powerful about reading the Law of One right now in our times, okay? Because we just finished our 3 major cycles. We have been harvested. Every single person on this planet needs to figure out, are they going to be in vibration with the planet that we are on right now that has turned fourth density? And if not, bye-bye, you gotta go. Every person now, Juliana, every person has the opportunity, and we're gonna learn more about this, but you to make the choice between service to others, service to self, or they don't make a choice because free will and they're neutral. No matter what they choose, they'll be sent to the right place that's going to serve them to their highest capabilities. But if you want to stay with this earth, you gotta be fourth density, baby. All right. 6.16.
Just so you know, we would call the full 75,000 years the master cycle. So major cycles, there are 3 major cycles and 1 master cycle, okay? Now, what was the first major cycle? It was Lemuria. The second, or what we call Mu. The second was Atlantis. And then the third would be Egypt, which we're still in that same major cycle as Egypt. So according to what you're...
Can you repeat that?
So the first 25,000 year cycle would be back when Lemuria. So you hear about Lemuria, right? Or Mu. Maybe I have these backwards. Lemuria and then Atlantis. I think that's how it went. Lemuria first, about 75,000 years ago, they first started. Their cycle would have ended, their major cycle would have ended 50,000 years ago, approximately. And then 25,000 years later, you have Atlantis. By the way, Lemuria destroyed themselves, right? Everything went underwater. And then what happened after Atlantis? Atlantis also sunk themselves. They basically killed themselves. Probably the same thing we did, nuclear explosion or atomic bomb, or I'm not sure. We'll learn about it here. But once Atlantis was done, 25,000 years later, we have us. That makes those 3 cycles make the full master cycle of 75,000 years. So they're saying all are harvested regardless of their progress, for during that time, the planet itself has moved through the useful part of that dimension. And so if we're not in this vibration, if this planet is on 4th density vibration, but we're really vibrating at 5th density, for example, then we're going to move to 5th density. But for the most part, most of us are probably going to move to 4th. So yeah, let's continue.
Yeah. 6.16. What is the position of this planet with respect to progression of the cycle at this time? Dun, 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 dun. I am wrong. This sphere is at this time in 4th dimension vibration. Its material is quite confused due to the society memory complexes embedded in its consciousness. It has not made an easy transition to the vibrations which beckon. Therefore, it will be fetched with some inconvenience.
I am Ra. The sphere is at this time in 4th dimension. Its material is quite confused due to the society within it. It has not made an easy transition to the vibrations which come. Therefore, it will be transported with some inconvenience. So fetched with some inconvenience.
We're in the inconvenience right now. Yeah. 6 point. You want to do 6?
Sure. 6.17. Questioner, is this inconvenience imminent within a few years? I am Ra. This inconvenience or disharmonious vibratory complex has begun several of your years in the past. It shall continue unabated for a period of approximately 30 of your years.
So, quick moment. If you haven't seen the Great Awakening show with Jay Griff and Aaron Apke, they talk about the inconvenience or disharmonious vibratory complex. They like Aaron believes it started around 1913, which is when taxes became a thing, which is when the system that was created now for the elite that we will learn throughout this book really put down their foot and the inconveniences started. The Great Awakening show. Yes, I'll send a link in the WhatsApp group and in the chat right now. Just want to drop that in.
What? I'm not really understanding why you brought that up. This
Just the
inconvenience
30
or
years.
disharmonious vibratory complex has begun several of your years in the past. Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's been beyond that. Definitely. I mean, I don't know when taxes started, but the Romans and the Spanish and the English, like all how many, I don't know how many societies have been warring and destroying and killing each other. Like when is this shit gonna end? And you know what? Don't excuse my French. I'm sick and fucking tired of war. I don't understand why anyone is backing Palestine, why anyone is backing Israel. Why are we backing anyone in war? We should be uniting all together as one. So disharmonious indeed, it's still going on. Thank God for the Great Awakening, which is why I love that they titled it that show. But there's also the Great Awakening is happening in people right now because people are waking up to the game. They're waking up to who they are. More people are taking psychedelics. More people are questioning the narrative. More people are telling the government, no, I'm not going to do that. More people are beginning to see what's really going on. So I think that's a part of the disharmonious vibration that we're feeling is us waking up to the manipulation of the service to self, to the disharmonious nature of thinking we're separate, etc. I think we went down a rabbit hole I didn't want to go down.
No,
But
yeah.
let's move on. 6.18. Questioner, after this 30-year period, I am assuming we will be a fourth dimension or fourth density planet. Is this correct? I am Ra. This is so. So they're saying you'll be an officially true color green. I'm thinking, I don't know if that's the truth, approximately 2030 to 2012. That's about 30 years after 1981. So what they were saying, by the way, is this sphere is at this time in fourth dimension vibration. So they were already in fourth dimension back in 1981. So we're definitely in fourth density today.
6.19.
Mhm.
Is it possible to estimate what percentage of the present population will inhabit the fourth density planet? Raw. The harvesting is not yet. Thus, estimation is meaningless. 6.20.
Questioner, does the fact that we are in this transition period now have anything to do with the reason that you have made your information available to the population? I am Ra. We have walked among your people. We remember. We remember sorrow. We have seen much. We have searched for an instrument of the proper parameters of distortion in mind-body-spirit complex and supporting an understanding group of mind-body-spirit complexes to accept this information with minimal distortion and maximal desire to serve for some of your years. Simplified. I am Ra. We have walked among your people. We remember. We remember sorrow. We have seen much. We have searched for a channel of the proper frameworks of being and supporting and an understanding group of people to accept this information with minimal misperception and maximal desire to serve for some of your years. You can imagine how long they had looked. They had looked since Egypt. How long ago was Egypt? Thousands of years ago. So they've been very patient. The answer, in short, is yes. However, we wish to know that in our memory, we thank you. It's like what Ra just said, in our memory, we thank you. Ra, we thank you. I love you, Ra. Thanks. I don't know why they're so sweet. By the way, the lifespan in Egypt was quite young at the time. It was about 30. So when they say sorrow, that means people were dying, most likely of illness, disease, war, etc. 6.21.
The dish-shaped craft we call UFOs some have been said to come possibly from the planet Venus. Would any of this be your craft? I am Ra. We have used crystals for many purposes. Notice that they called a disc-shaped craft we call UFOs. They called it a crystal. The craft of which you speak have not been used by us in your space-time present memory complex. However, we have used crystals and the bell shape in the past of your illusion. 6.22. How many years ago in the past did you use the bell-shaped craft to come here? I am Ra. We visited your peoples 18,000 of your years ago and did not land again 11,000 years ago. So they reiterated it's not 18,000, it's 11,000.
No, that's not what
both?
they're saying. We visited your peoples 18,000 years ago
Oh, we landed again. I see.
and did not land. Again, they landed 11,000 of your years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My apologies. Thank you. 6.23. The photographs of the bell-shaped craft and reports of contact from Venus exist from less than 30 years ago. Do you have any knowledge of these reports? I am Ra. We have knowledge of oneness with these forays of your time-space present. We are no longer of Venus. We are no longer of Venus. However, there are thought forms created among your peoples from our time of walking among you. The memory and thought forms created, therefrom are part of your society memory complex. This mass consciousness, as you may call it, creates the experience once more for those who request such experience. The present Venus population is no longer 6th density.
Simplified. I am Ra. We have a knowledge of oneness with these attacks of your present. That's what I looked up forays and I was like, So the beings that came, it was more like we have knowledge of oneness with these forays of your time space present. So the reports of the ones, it sounds like they weren't positive. We are no longer of Venus. However, there are thought forms created from our time of walking among you. The memory and thought forms created therefrom are a part of your society's memory. This mass consciousness creates the experience once more, for those who request such experience. The present Venus population is no longer 6th density. Earlier, they said something about Venus being hospitable for 5th and 6th. 5th to 6th density learning, growing, teaching, I think, not 3rd density. So yeah, I would say that they're probably 5th density.
You don't like this one.
Okay. 6.24. Questioner. Do you have any of the UFOs that are presently reported come from our other planets here at this time, or do you have this knowledge? Ra. I am one of them. Yeah. All right. I am one of the members of the Confederation of Planets in the service of the infinite creator. There are approximately 53 civilizations comprising approximately 500 planetary consciousness complexes in this confederation. This confederation contains those from your planet who have attained dimensions beyond your 3rd. It contains planetary entities within your solar system, and it contains planetary entities from other galaxies. It is a true confederation in that its members are not alike, but allied in service according to the law of one. I am one of the members of the Confederation of Planets in the service of the infinite creator. There are approximately 53 civilizations comprising approximately 500 planet hive minds in this confederation. So when I read this, I thought, okay, 53 civilizations, but 500 planetary hive minds. All right. So I thought a planetary hive mind would be considered a civilization from them. So I'm thinking civilization is probably what they mean as like potentially solar systems or even galaxies. This confederation contains those from your own planet beyond 3rd. So who do I know of that was some holy being that left this planet and probably went to like 4th density or further? Jesus. Yehoshua. Or and Buddha. Neem Karoli Baba, Babaji. I don't know if he's still alive. I don't think so. Maharashi for sure. So they could be a part of it. It contains planetary entities within your solar system, and it contains planetary entities from other galaxies. It is a true confederation in that its members are not alike but allied in service according to the law of one. So more like an alliance. So they're a part of a confederation of planets who are in service to the infinite creator, which comprises of thousands of, no, millions, potentially billions of minds. Because if they say densities beyond our third, right? So that means that includes third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh density beings, which means if they're fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, or fourth, fifth, or sixth or seventh density, then they are several hive minds. And in those hive minds, there's like Ra's 6.5 million souls. That's a lot. So if there's Ra plus other hive minds in that way, then there's potentially millions and billions of people or beings within this confederation. And they're all allied in service according to the law of one. I'll tell you what, I feel safe. And so let's see. Do any of the UFOs that are presently reported come from other planets here at this time? So they pretty much are saying we have information on all of this stuff because they see everything. Do any of them come here at this time in spacecraft in the past, say 30 years? I am Ra. We must state that this information is unimportant. If you will understand this, we feel that the information may be acceptably offered. The law of one is what we are here to express. However, we will speak upon this subject. Each planetary entity who wishes to appear within your third dimensional space-time distortion reality, that's what I put, reality, requests permission to break quarantine, as you may call it, and appear to your peoples. The reason and purpose for this appearance is understood and either accepted or rejected. There have been as many as 15 of the Confederation entities in your skies at any one time. The others available to you through thought. Ooh. So they have to they must request permission to break quarantine. So any being that wants to come into this third density must request permission to break what they call quarantine and actually appear to our people. The reason and purpose for this appearance is understood and either rejected or accepted. There are as many as 15 of the Confederation beings in our skies at one time, and the others available to us through thought. At present, there are 7 which are operating with craft in your density. Their purposes are very simple: to allow those entities of your planet to become aware of infinity, which is often best expressed to the uninformed as a mysterious or unknown. I'll tell you, my friend Jay and I, we saw a UFO. Oh man, that was an epic day. It was we were so in wonder and mystery, and we ended up staying up until the sun came up. We started like praising the sun, like thanking the sun, and like just in reverence. It was epic. And so yeah, when it says to become aware of infinity, we were much more aware of infinity after that. Go ahead.
6.26. I am fully aware that you are primarily interested in disseminating the law of one. However, it is my judgment, could be wrong, that in order to disseminate this material, it will be necessary to include questions such as the one I have just asked for the purpose of creating the widest possible dissemination of the material. If this is not the objective, I could limit my questions only to the application of the law of one. But I understand that at this time, it is the objective to widely disseminate this material. Is this correct? I am Ra. This perception is only slightly distorted in your understand/learning. We wish you to proceed as you deem proper. That is your place. We, in giving this information, find our distortion of understanding of our purpose to be that not only of the offering of information, but the weighting of it according to your distorted perceptions. To our distorted perceptions. Okay, let me repeat that. But the weighting of it according to our distorted perceptions of its relative importance. Thus, you will find our statements at times to be those which imply that a question is unimportant. That is due to our perception that the given question is unimportant. Nevertheless, unless the question contains the potential for answer giving, which may infringe upon free will, we offer our answers.
I am Ra, simplified. This perception is only slightly off in your understanding. We wish you to proceed as you deem proper. That is your place. We find our purpose to be that not only of the offering of information, but the weighting of it according to its importance. Thus, you will find our statements to be those which imply that a question is unimportant. This is due to our perception that the given question is unimportant. Nevertheless, unless the question contains the potential for infringing upon free will, we offer our answers. They literally cannot infringe upon free will because it will have them lose polarity. So they are very, very keen and aware of their polarity. And there's one thing they don't want to do is go any further away from the creator, because like they're in sixth density. They're trying to get to that seventh, baby. Questioner, thank you very much. We do not want to overtire the instrument. It's now considerably over the normal working time. Could you tell me the condition of the instrument? The instrument is balanced due to your care. However, her physical vehicle is growing stiff. In that case, perhaps we should continue at a later time. We shall agree. Therefore, unless you have a short question, we will take our leave. The only question I have is that I must assume, since Leonard was here when you first made contact, it'd be as suitable for him to be here as Tom. Is this correct? This is correct, and completes the number of those at this time able to come who are suitable. Again, remember the instructions given for the preparation of the vibratory sound complex, Tom. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one creator, Adonai. I love the way they end. I just feel so freaking powerful after saying that. I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth rejoicing in the power of the peace of the one infinite creator, Adonai. Woo, what a session. Thank you, God, for that session. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and have Jaslyn unmute herself. I'm going to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. We're going to open it up for a Q&A. If you paid attention, then you will have tons of comments and or questions. So please let it unleash. Just give me 1 second. I will be right back. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and end the recording right now before I go ahead and excuse myself. Thank you for listening. If you are there and you weren't able to make it in person, if you do make it in person, we do this every Thursday at 12 p.m. EST. You can find the link in the YouTube description, Spotify description, or whatever you're listening to this from. So please join us here. We're going to do a Q&A after each and every call and discuss what was shared. So either way, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. We love you.
We love you.
All right, let's end the recording there.